Hey guys, so we are on Unit 3 talking about plants, and we are on Lesson 3 talking about growth and development. First thing we're going to talk about is the plant cell. So every organism has a cell, which is the smallest structural unit of that organism. Plants have different cells than animals do. The main difference is vacuole, and so we're going to talk about the different parts of them and their functions. So there's a picture of the plant cell. Hopefully this is a review. You should have learned this in biology, but either way, we're going over it. So just as different parts of the plant have different functions, so do the cells. Each part has a purpose. So you need to know these vocab words. Different parts of a cell are called organelles. So each one of these, like a vacuole, chloroplast, that's all an organelle. Each has its own job to do to ensure the cell's survival. So the vacuole, which is this big, large water part. So that's a temporary storage container. They store waste sometimes. Then we've got chloroplast, which are these green things right here. That's the part of the cell that traps energy from the sun and turns it into chemical energy for the plant. So this is what's going to contain the chlorophyll, essential for photosynthesis. Then you have the cytoplasm. That's this kind of jelly that's going to hold everything together. The mitochondria, which right here, the red things, the squiggly things, they're kind of like a hot dog. Okay, so these are the energy production. So they carry out cellular respiration also that produces energy. Cell membrane and cell wall, which are the outer parts right here. You've got the membrane and the cell wall. Okay, those are the barriers. They help keep everything together, but they also allow chemicals to pass through and feed the cell. Nucleus, that's like the brain. So right here, this purple, we have the nucleus with the nucleolus and nuclear envelope. All that's together. So this contains the DNA. So this is the very important part. Holds the genetic information about the cell, makes the plant what it's going to be. Nucleolus is inside the nucleus. That's the heart of it. It contains RNA, which is like DNA, and it carries genetic information. Then we have nuclear envelope, and that's just the membrane around the nucleus. So you can see all of those parts here. You've got your envelope that covers it, the nucleus, and then the nucleolus, which is basically like the brain of the nucleus, and that's the part that looks like the egg yolk. Then you have the ER, or endoplasmic reticulum, and it's basically the network. So it covers channels, moves materials around the cell. So that's going to be this part right here, the yellow part outside the nucleus. And last, we have the Golgi apparatus that sorts proteins and packs them into vessels. So this is really important for proteins, that yellow part right there, the Golgi apparatus. Okay. So those are the parts you need to know, those and their functions. So I would take note of those because you will need to know those for your quiz. Plant and animals, they have a lot of things in common, but the really key differences are the chloroplast, obviously, because we have animal cells. We cannot convert sunlight into energy like a plant can. That'd be really handy, but we can't do that. Animal cells are smaller, come in a variety of shapes. Plant cells are rectangular or cube-shaped. So when we talk about bacteria, are one-celled organisms that live independently or as parasites. Most people associate it with illness, but there are great positive bacteria, and we all carry some bacteria in us. On a cellular level, the structure is close to that of plants and animals, except they don't have a nucleus. And genetic information just floats around the cell like an organelle. So it's very loose in there. So another distinct cellular structure is that of a virus. So we talked about bacteria, and then a virus, which we should know a virus is a tiny infectious agent that replicates only inside a living organism. That's why a virus is alive. Technically, a virus is not an organism because it can live on its own. It is a parasite, or it cannot live on its own. It's a parasite that requires a host. So like the stomach virus, it's got to live inside of you to be able to produce. So they're unable to reproduce on their own. They take over healthy cells and use them to reproduce. Like bacteria, they can make people, plants, and animals sick. Cellular actions. So one of the functions is respiration. You need to know that's the process of taking oxygen and giving off carbon dioxide. It says it seems contradictory to say that plants take in oxygen and give back carbon dioxide because during photosynthesis, the opposite is true. During the day, photosynthesis prevents respiration from being visible. At night, when the lack of light shuts down, the process respiration is clear. So it takes in carbon dioxide, puts out oxygen during the day. At night, takes in oxygen, puts out carbon dioxide. So it says when the world is asleep, the plants get to work respirating, converting oxygen into carbon dioxide, just like we do when we breathe. So they do both. Another cell action is osmosis. Molecules pass through the membranes and cell walls. There's less water in a cell and higher concentration of dissolved substances. Water from outside will enter through osmosis. Okay, some other vocab words. So there's two types of cell division. Mitosis, that's when the new cell is genetically identical to the parent cell, so it copies mine. And meiosis, in which only half makes me, half of it. Only half of the DNA from the parent cell is passed on. Okay, going down to more of our vocab. So, germination, we're going to talk about production. So growth cycle of a flowering plant includes going from a seed to seedling. So germination is whenever that seed really emerges from the soil and grows the stem, it becomes a seedling. That's called germination. So this process right here, that would be the process of germination. Plants reproduce through a lot of different ways. There's asexual reproduction. That's where the plant just has one parent, like a potato or strawberries, where they just produce within themselves. Sexual reproduction involves both male and female, and that's going to take pollination. So like it says, grains such as wheat and rye and fruits are going to produce sexually. Breeding plants involves genetic principles to create plants that have characteristics that make them more useful. So scientists are at work, and they can actually, that's what GMOs are. They're not bad. That's just genetically altering the reproduction or the plants so that we can get certain things like making corn have better yields, which means we could have maybe 3 years of corn on a plant instead of 2. Which will help us feed the world. Making them resistant to pesticides or herbicides, making it tastier or attractive products or other qualities. That's what agriscientists do, is they help modify that plant just a little. All right, so that is a really quick lesson over a lot of big words and cells. I'm going to include another YouTube video of the plant cell that dives deeper into this. Please watch this as well. And again, let me know if you